Hey everyone, welcome back to Thoughtfully Chaotic. So, first thing first, I think I need to publicly apologize because the last episode, well, what happened? Listen, I really didn't do it on purpose, okay? I swear to God, I promise you, I'm not playing dumb. I swear to God, I was just editing the whole thing. And all of a sudden, I swear I just touched a little tiny detail on my screen and the sound disappear. Everything that I have recorded did disappear. And I was already in a nerve-wracking situation and I started crying. I started to cry. Like, my eyes were bawling, literally. And I've decided, I said, like, listen, I better pause this before I decide to retire the whole thing. And like, I was about to post nothing. So, it's better to post something than posting nothing because, it's not my fault. I promise you, it's not my fault. So, I don't know whose fault it is, but it's not my fault. I promise you, I really did the thing. I did the work. I figured out the whole platform. But, I think, bottom line, I'm a little bit hopeless at it. But it doesn't matter, I'm going to try until I'm just a craftsman about it. I'm just going to continue until I am a chief. And I'm going to edit stuff in 30 minutes. That's a lie. I always take forever to edit a video. It's fine. I think I'm gonna get used to it with time. Anyways, shut up. Anyways. So in today's episode, listen. I was in a gossipy mood. So, and lately I've been kind of doing some personal research because, as you probably, or maybe not, maybe you don't know. Well, if somebody doesn't know, I am an artist. More specifically, I am a painter, especially, on canvases. And I am a complete autodidact. I'm learning to do it on my own. I didn't go to art school because my parents didn't let me. They told me you're gonna study law and you're gonna shut up. So I said okay, but you have to buy me everything that I want so I can be comfortable and do my art. And they were like, okay, fine, deal. That's a deal. So I'll have to do the hard work on my own, but I think it's kind of intellectually stimulating to go for the material on your own. I don't have any teacher, any mentor, anything, so I have to figure stuff out for myself. And one of the things you come across as a young artist, young painter is specific techniques that you have to learn to make a great work. And one of them is the most I'm not a professional yet. I can't tell if it's the most known one, but it's a very well-known one. It's the sfumato, and it's a technique that have been invented by Leonardo da Vinci. Listen, I'm gonna pronounce it in Italian, then in French, then in English, okay? So it's Leonardo da Vinci, it's Leonardo da Vinci, and it's how do you listen, Leonardo da Vinci, anyways, you got who I'm talking about. You got the idea. Anyways, so yeah, and then I've discovered that he did well. Everybody knows who this guy is. I mean, listen, he's the painter of La Gioconda, and if you don't know La Gioconda, I mean, you're not even it's not even about liking or appreciating art. It's just, a random fact. You have to know this, okay? If you don't know, please be concerned, honestly. But anyway, so he is the famous Italian painter who did La Joconde and other works, other arts work. And yeah, I came across his book. He write a book around, just painter's technique. I don't remember the title. Well, anyways, I read it in an old French translation. I found it on the internet because the guy was living in the 5th century, so everything is out on the internet, which is really cool. And I was just striving to learn more about his life because his profile as a person, as an artist, did pique my interest, and I want to gossip a little bit about him today, even though he's dead and he well, he's dead. Now you know, Waverly. Like, first, this guy doesn't know what ADHD means. So, just to give you an approximate kind of, no, I'm not gonna get an approximate. I'm gonna tell you all of his jobs. Like, if Da Vinci was living in today's day, his LinkedIn profile would eat us all alive. So please listen up. Listen, that's very interesting. I made a research and I've kind of attempt to like make a kind of exhaustive list of all his jobs that he did accumulate through life. So listen, and I don't want like to scare you, but if you don't understand most of them, it's fine. I don't neither. I think it does not even exist right now. I don't know. So in the artistic professions, he was obviously a painter, a draftsman, a scientific illustrator, a calligrapher, a sculptor, a scenographer, event and stage designer, textile designer, jewelry designer, art director, mechanical special effects creator for theaters and royal festivities. Now it's engineering and design profession. Mechanical engineer, wow. Civil engineer, wow. Military engineer, wow. Hydraulic engineer, naval engineer. Oh, I need to drink something. Oh my god, I'm out of breath already. Wood model maker, scale model designer, intellectual professions, a philosopher, of course. I like obviously humanist, writer or theorist, advisor to princes and patrons, multidisciplinary researcher, workshop manager and teacher. I'm already tired. I'm tired. Like, what's up? Oh God, what's going on? Okay, fine. So basically, this guy didn't like. I don't think that he knew what boredom is, basically, and it just got me thinking. God, how did he made it all? That's, I don't know. That's kind of for my brain. It's kind of, it's not impossible. I like in my like mindset. I don't see anything in life as impossible, truly, but just like, how did he manage to just organize his life around all of this? Now, obviously, he didn't do like all of these things every day of his life for like, I've checked, he lived for 76? No, 67. I've made my research and he lived for 67 years in total, but which is, well, not really old, but I mean, for that time, I think it was a great deal, maybe. But like in his whole life, he managed to just do it all. Aren't you shocked? Like, wow. Me personally, I'm obsessed. I think, what really like kind of piqued my interest, it's the fact that he lived multiple lives in just one. It really reminds me, you know what? It did remind me when I first come across this information. First, I was shocked. And then I remembered that show. It's not a show. It's like a cartoon. Well, it's very well known. It's like, it's not a secret. It's, how is it called? Oh, Barbie, the Dream House. Like when she goes through her, dress room and she just like she's showing up all of her jobs like outfit. She was a doctor, then an astronaut, then an actress, then a surfer, then an athlete, then everything. And at that time, because I was watching it when I was a child, basically, I didn't go through life. So in my brain, everything was possible in this life. I still believe that, but with obviously a more nuanced and adult standpoint, obviously. But when I was like, God, this can be true. This did exist. And again, I don't think, wait, listen, it's kind of obvious. He was not all of this all at once for his whole life. He had he had phases. He was sometimes, more of a painter. Then when he like stopped and finished the canvas, he will pass and do something else. And by the way, I've read somewhere that he was a slow painter and he didn't let that much art canvases. I think he've done like 10 maximum, and that's why, by the way, it's really really like they're considered as masterpiece, and they're very 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 expensive. Obviously. Anyways, I think I figure out that when I was watching this as a kid, Barbie the Dream House, I was beside, the colors and, wow, Barbie and stuff. I love Barbie. I still, at this point in my life, if I'm catching, a little cousin watching Barbie, I'm gonna sit right next to them. I'm gonna watch with them Barbie. Obviously. By the way, I'm 20 years old. So, listen, I'm still a child. I'm sorry, in my brain, I'm a child, so leave me alone, okay? And yeah, I just love this idea that you can do whatever you want in your life, as long as you're well organized and you're really interested, but about what the hell you're doing. And it's also a very comforting thought that because I don't know. I went to school, and at the end of high school, I had kind of a very pessimistic view on life overall. Fuck high school, honestly. I had, that idea that you have to take one serious, field in your life, and you have to stick to it, and that is it. Shut up, and you don't do anything, funny or artsy or anything, because otherwise, you're gonna count as an outsider, as a non-serious person in life, and you're not gonna make it. I don't know why I had such. Oh God, I was so negative. I was a depressed person. That's crazy. I'm really thankful. I really did. Well, it was 2 years ago, so. Yeah, I did grow. I swear to God, I did grow so much from that time on in my brain and physically, but in my brain mostly. Anyways, that idea of being able, because it's kind of physically possible, but to make it possible, you really have to think in your brain that's really possible. And I don't know, having this example of Da Vinci making it, and it was 5 centuries ago. He didn't had AI, like he didn't have AI. He didn't have all this internet, YouTube. He didn't have all these tools to make his life easier, and still he did make it in a way or another. Like he did just figure it out as he was going. That is it. And apparently, one thing you can know, no, one thing you if you're interested into knowing more about him, one thing that you can read everywhere is the fact that he had a very curious nature. The fact that he had a a highly curious nature. At first, I thought he was a Gemini, but then I've checked, he's an Aries. Okay, fine, but I don't know. I thought he was a Gemini. I don't know why. No, it did bring me back to that memory of me watching Barbie. And listen, when you're a kid, you watch stuff, you consume stuff, and you just enjoy it. You're not, too deep about it. You're not too philosophical. You don't care. You're just, God. That time of. Do you remember the last time you sleep without overthinking life? Personally, I don't, and for me, this is childhood. The time when you were sleeping like a baby without thinking about tomorrow and the year after and 20 years after. This is. Listen, I'm not a child anymore. I have to accept it. Okay, fine. Fine. So yeah, I just figured out recently. I was journaling, and I thought to myself, this is why I was so obsessed with Barbie, and this is also why Barbie was made for. The Mattel team always tell you we did make Barbie, well, not the Mattel team, but the woman that first came out with the Barbie idea and made the first doll and stuff. She really wanted to inspire girls to do whatever they want, because they can do it as long as they think they can. God, everything connects. I don't know. I just I fell in love with. I just fell in love with this idea, and I'm grateful because I've watched Barbie the Dream House. Anyways, Oh, and besides the dream house, like all of her movies, Barbie, like she always, like she had multiple lives. And you know those movies of Barbie when she because like she's pretending that she is an actress and she's living all of those lives, and those film where she's not pretending, you know, she's not being an actress, she's like, God, what am I gonna do now? Shut up, bitch. She did live so much lives, and that's so interesting. God, I want to be a real life Barbie. Not in the sense that I want to be blonde and wear pink. I love pink. I love blondes, but it's not like, it's not the point. I just want to have her life. And she also, like, the ease with which she's doing everything. Well, she is a cartoon. It's not real. Celina, calm down. Calm down. Anyways, I think to have that high profile of high achiever, whatever, you know, achievement and success mean to you, you really have to have a mindset of pushing boundaries. And in Da Vinci's case, very quick flash info. So apparently, his father came from a very noble social background, whilst his mom was, I think, a servant or something of that sort. So his parents were not married, and you know, thus he lived, you know, in a not weird life, but apparently the fact that his parents were not married because of the mother's origin, and it was just an affair basically, he could not attempt to like school and learn Latin and have access to all the knowledge. So a lot of historical research are talking about a deep down complex, you know, of inferiority, because always was looking to do more, do better, and be a high achiever. I agree to a certain extent, because I think, you know, in the beginning it was completely true, because, well, you know, he just wants to prove a point. But for you, like for your whole entire life, for he lived a very long time, and during that whole time, I mean, he was just like discovering, pushing boundaries again and again and again, and he touched on like different and multiple topics. Like he didn't have you know, a STEM brain or an artsy brain. He had both, literally. He was appealed like by engineering and you know, what was at that time medicine, whatever, and also he was like an artist. He's known for being an artist basically. But you know, for you to have that level of motivation in your life to do all of this, you know, we all want to be successful, but nobody really wants to be like that successful, you know. But still, he did it. So I really think that it was something it was something really deep down in his character, in his brain, in his personality, that was striving to do more, that really, really wanted to reach that just for the sake of knowledge and curiosity. So I think it's very disrespectful to boil his whole career down to a superficial, you know, complex, because I don't think it's fully true. But anyways, also, I mean, it's so inspiring. Look how much he did. Like in my life, if I can do, you know, just 10% of what he did, I'm really happy. I'm grateful. But again, you know, I also want to push boundaries. Am I going to be able to do it? I don't know. We'll see with time. But it's really, really, really refreshing. I can't stand people who constantly tell you, oh, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, it's too much. No, why would you want to do this? No, just, you know, just enjoy your life. Go ahead and, you know, is it up on yourself? I can't stand those type of people. I can't. Like, they're really, you know, because most of them, well, not all of them, but most of them, they never tell you this to kind of only like for your sake, because they think about your well-being. I just think it's deep down a kind of a lack mindset, because they didn't do much themselves, so they're just like unconsciously tearing people down, but in the facade they're like, oh no, but it's not good for you, you know, just chill out. No, I don't want to chill out. Fuck off. Anyways, I can't like, no, I don't like to be surrounded by this type of people, honestly. Which brings us to our next point. God, I'll be able to sell a log, basically just to both of my lungs, no, just one. So I could have him, or have, a version of him, like a contemporary, a current version of him as a mentor. Really, like, God, I that's so sad. I truly, truly wanted him to be a teacher of mine. I think he's a very interesting person, and he could, like, teach you crazy stuff. And just being around someone that is so energetic and productive. Well, apparently he was not constantly productive, because he had also, like, phases of laziness, which is completely normal, and I will talk about it later. But just being surrounded by that type of person, kind of a genius. He was a genius. God, it would, like, just, I think I would do things, and I'll get stuff done more, like, quickly. Anyways, would love to have him as a mentor. And also, I'm in a kind of, it's not a dilemma, but it's it's a thing I'm just overthinking these days. Recently, I really want to have a mentor, but I don't know how to have a mentor, because it's not something you select in your life. You look for on Safari. You're not, like, looking for a doctor, for a nurse, or for, I don't know. You're not looking for that type of stuff. I really don't know how I can have a mentor. And I also, it's not even about knowing how to make it. I don't even know how to manifest it. Manifest it. Like, I don't even know how to manifest it. And I don't know, it's just, it made me think of it really, really, like, horrifyingly. Yeah, I was just thinking of it this time. Anyways, have to look, no, I have to figure out how to manifest a mentor. Please, if you know a mentor that knows a thing about art, philosophy, cinematography, a bit of politics, and also a bit of science thing, just let me know, okay? But someone who did something in his life, because I don't take, in school and in uni, when you have a teacher that didn't do much in his life, you can't fully trust him. So please advise me to a good mentor, okay? Please, please, please. Thank you. And very, very important thing that I want to touch on today, and it really, really, really does touch us all to a certain extent, especially in these days, where consumption and overconsumption, not even consumption, overconsumption is that thing. So basically, in his life, I think he was the type of people who created more than he did consume. And when I'm talking about consumption, I'm talking about all type of consumption. Overeating, binge watching TV shows, binge consuming, negative thoughts, all of this. I think, in your life, it's impossible to, create and not consume. It's possible to consume and not create, but you have to be balanced, because, listen, for you to be creative, you have to consume stuff. You have to read, you have to watch movies, you have to learn, you have to go to school, you have to, because it just does open your brain, and you just make parallels, and you kind of intertwine interesting ideas. This is how it's supposed to work. But when you're over consuming, at least this is how I feel when I'm on, those type of phases, it's almost like my brain is scattered. My brain doesn't function anymore. Like, I'm working, I'm realizing, don't worry for me, like, everything's working great, but I'm not creative. I'm lazy. I eat a lot, because I've heard that somewhere. I don't know where. I can't remember where, but apparently, when you're eager to create a lot, but you're kind of stuck and you don't know how to do it. By the way, when I'm talking about creativity, creation, it can be any type of thing. Writing a book, making YouTube videos, writing a song, working on a huge project, whatever it might be. It's really specific to every to each one of us, but doesn't matter. Anyways, so when you're, what I was saying, when you're overconsumption, Yeah, whatever. When you're over consuming, you can create correctly. And when you're unable to create probably properly, and when you're unable to create properly, you start binge consuming. And for some of us, it's like it will show up as binge eating. Me personally, I do this a lot. When I'm unable to do stuff that I want to do and I feel so anxious and frustrated, I start eating shit. I have like huge sugar craving, and it's not good for my body. It's not good for my soul. It's not good for me overall. So, the other way around, I don't think. Well, you can't obviously create if you're not consuming, or you're a genius, and I really respect you for that. And you can't, spend your whole life consuming without creating. You will have, how is it called? Yeah, an existential crisis, but it won't be, an episode or a phase. It will be like the story of your whole life. I'm just saying, Also, realizing that it took him a whole lifetime to do all of those jobs. Anyways, to just do all to do it all. It took him like a lifetime to do it all. It really, I think one of the main points that I've learned from his story, and what I just come to terms with, is to kind of make me feel better about the 20s rush. When you're a teenager, you're like, okay, so I am gonna do it all. I'm gonna make everything happen in my 20s. I'm gonna do this by this age, do this by that age, and yeah, that's it. And weirdly enough, you don't see life as an experience. At least that was my case at the time. I didn't see it as an experience to go through and enjoy. It was just kind of a checklist, a robotic, monotonous checklist that I have to do, and everything should be done before hitting the 30s. Like, it's almost like I felt like in my 30s, that's the end of life. In your 30s, you're old as hell. Like, and I'm not talking from like a woman point of view. Like, you're not gonna be good looking in your. First of all, I really don't think so. I think women look their best in like they reach their peak in the 30s. Like, I don't know, they just have more defined jawlines and cheekbones, and everything is depuffing, and you look just so good in your 30s. But besides, like, I'm just talking as a human being. Like, I don't think the fact that I'm a woman, well, maybe I think the fact that I am a woman make this this unconscious fear go crazy more than it should be. That, oh God, like, everything should be done before your 20s. That's not true. That's not. Oh God, I'm so happy because I came to terms with this and I've realized it now. So you have your whole life to do whatever it is that you want, but I mean, it's cool. I kind of now I could say that I figured out a little bit more what I want to be and how I want to be in my life and what I want to have and where I want to go and stuff. And still, I don't see it as a fixed up thing. I mean, maybe in 2 years from now, I'll have a complete and different mindset and goals and stuff. But I've accepted the fact that it's fluid and that life moves on quickly, everything changes, and I have my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, my 60s, my 70s. Also, if I'm not, too I was about to say too old. No, to like. Anyways, I also have my 70s, and I see life more as, a huge book and you can like write down whatever you want in it, and it's not like there's not a chrono, you know, there's not a time when everything's going to end. You can do it all, but you can't do 100% of everything 100% of the time. So you have to take advantage of each, decade the way you want and the way you see it's more convenient. Yeah, it's more convenient for you. Anyways, I'm so happy because, well, I got rid of that unnecessary fear. Also, he is the vision I was unconsciously looking for. He did something like his story, who he is, like how he creates, and well, from what we know of him, he really appeased and eased my fear of not being understood. Because again, when you're the type of person, you have a mind that is racing very rapidly and you want to do a lot of things. I know we are a lot on earth, we just don't know each other. And it feels lonely. It really does feel like extremely lonely sometimes because, well, not everybody does understand that spark. But when I'm like, God, this man did exist 5 centuries ago and he still made it, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm bold enough to say that I want stuff that are not, necessarily normal or regular, because something like someone before me did do it. Why not me? I don't know. And now, I've discovered him, I think 1 month ago. I'm not, obviously I did not discover him. I knew who he was, but not in depth. And since that time, I feel bolder. I feel it really did calm me down in a certain way. I don't know. Just very inspiring. Also, another thing, I think it's linked to the fact that he is an Aries. His boldness, like, he has a level of boldness and carelessness that I admire so much. Like, he doesn't care, he doesn't over intellectualize knowledge. He just decides that he wants to learn something, I don't know, he just decides that he is interested by a certain topic and he is going to dive in. And eventually he will figure it out as he goes. But God, that requires a level of confidence. Like, he's just so daring and brazen, and like it's just in his nature, and I don't know, like, I like the fact that he doesn't overthink it before he does it. He's very action orientated, and I think I should learn from that. He doesn't care, about the details, about the how, about the when. He just does it, and he do not give a fuck. I think, wow, that's such a cool character to have, to be honest. Also, honestly, if I had one wish to make, and no, actually, that's not true. No. Also, one thing that I could also sell another lung for it, or, well, anyways, another organ for it would be for me to read his personal journal, but not, because I think we have, yeah, we do, we have, some journals where he was kind of writing his, not idea, but like prototypes of machines and first planes and stuff. Fine, I don't care about that shit. I want his personal journal. I want the journal where he was writing his ideas, what he was like, even random facts about him. Just, very I was about to say meaningless, but nothing is really meaningless. But see, when you think that you're writing something that is meaningless, that's what I'm talking about. But for me, it won't be meaningless if it's coming from him. I just want to understand how his brain structure works, really. And apparently, we do not have that type of documents about him. Well, we don't really know if he was not journaling at all, or if he made sure nobody would ever found them, because he was, I think he didn't want to let anything be known to the public, especially concerning his love life. We know for a fact that he had affairs with men, but we don't know if he was bi or he was strictly gay. We don't know anything about him, and that really aches my heart, because see, that we don't have anything very intimate about his soul. That's so sad. That's so sad. I really, really would have known a little bit more about him from that landscape. I think he's just a very interesting person. He's ambitious, bold, but very sensitive. And, well, he was an obsessive creator. And he was, I don't know why I've really my brain did bug a little bit when I heard that he was obsessed to know how to make good things, like good creations, like good looking stuff. He was obsessed also with perfection. Well, he was a bit of a perfectionist, but he really always was pushing himself to do stuff okay, but do it correctly. I think he was really torturing himself with perfectionism. And on the long run, I really that's why I want his journal. I want to know how he dealt with that shit. I just want to understand. Please, I need this in my life. And also, I would like to, I mean, I would have liked to know more about how he gets productive, how he can sustain such, a busy life without collapsing at the end. And the only practical tips that we have about him until this day, I don't know if we know it through historical research. I really don't know. I've just read it on the internet. I don't even know if the sources. Well, now listen. I told you my sources are always slaying. My sources are 100% trustworthy. Okay. No, I'm kidding. It's really trustworthy. So I've read that he had in his brain kind of a mechanism, when he'd want to be disciplined and do, and use, his left brain do same stuff. He would use. He had two color, the brown and the blue one. I think the blue one was sent in for the stem brain, and the maroon one was dedicated to the artsy brain. And this is how he made the difference. He was in the morning, he would be okay, now we're turning into blue mode, and the next day or in the afternoon we're turning into brown mode. This is how he was vaguely dealing with it. But again, it's not precise enough. How am I supposed to do something with this? Anyways, I'm a bit pissed off, to be honest, because he didn't let anything no, I was supposed to say he didn't let anything for us to admire. Now, that's not true, but you got what I mean. Also, another thing. Oh, his crazy, career in everything makes you feel a little bit stupid about being lazy. Because, you're because I felt this way personally. I told myself, oh, but if this guy did all of this and, I think he didn't allow himself to be lazy at all. But that's not necessarily true, because you know what? Out of laziness and boredom, and I'm talking about real boredom, not, scrolling in your phone type of boredom, because it's really not useful in anyways. But I'm talking about laziness and boredom, a few kind of wandering around, going for a walk, not doing anything. And I'm going to talk for me, and I think it's also very healthy to think this way. I think we all need, a reasonable amount of laziness, because out of that laziness comes genius and creativity. I feel like I have the best ideas when I'm doing nothing. I just, kind of have a healthy lifestyle. I'll like go to sleep early and wake up early, and in that first time in the morning my brain is brand new, having the best ideas ever. So no, being lazy actually is necessary. I'd say it's really, really important and necessary in your life, but you have to know how to do it correctly, because again, if you're scrolling on your phone, it's not laziness. No, it's laziness, but it's like useless laziness. So yeah. Next, he was also known for being a living paradox, because as I told you, he didn't paint that much. We don't have that much canvases of him. The main reason why is because, I mean, he was doing a lot of things, and he was also a slow painter. I relate. I swear to God, I relate. I'm not judging him at all on this point precisely, but he was. We're talking about paradox because there's a lot of unachieved project of him in many different fields. And I think it's just because, he just really wanted to do a lot of things at once. And he did achieve a lot of stuff, obviously, but not everything. And for me, when I started, making, like, getting interested into knowing about him and stuff, for me, I was obsessed, because in my brain, like, I thought he'd be thinking of him as someone who kind of achieved his sole purpose. But apparently, and that's really soul aching. Listen to what he said. So I'm gonna read it in French and translate it, obviously. So he said, "J'ai offensé Dieu et l'humanité parce que mon travail n'a pas atteint la qualité qu'il aurait dû avoir." So, translation, I offended God and humanity because my work did not reach the quality it should have reached, or something like that. That is so sad. And that's also so rude toward himself. And I think also this is like a main reason why he achieved that much things in his life, because I'm sure he was the type of person, he was so demanding and hard on himself. I think it's valid to a certain extent, but I swear to God, from what I've just read to you, I think he was overly hard on himself, and that's so sad. That's honestly so sad. So really, yeah, no, it's really sad. It's depressing. Also, it's really depressing. So yeah, he was clearly a living paradox. Like, he wanted to do everything at once, but most of his projects were not finished, unfortunately. And that, unfortunately, feels extremely familiar to me. I mean, this point precisely, that paradox of wanting to be everything, but he could not do it. And I think I should still like dwell a little bit on it to kind of extract like real lessons that I can apply to my life to kind of avoid falling into that paradox. But to be honest with you, I think it's kind of inevitable a little bit, because I think it's just because we're humans, and you can program yourself to be productive and work 10 hours a day. That's, for most of us, not really feasible, because on the long run it's not sustainable. But anyways, I should still learn some stuff from his personal story and use it in mine. Also, I don't know why. Like, listen, when I was reading about him, I didn't know, like, how he was looking like. And first, I really like his personality. I really like his character. I really like the way he thinks and he sees life. So I went and I checked, because apparently, I've read somewhere, he was apparently very, very, very handsome. And I was like, oh, okay, pick my interest. I went and I've checked on his... Well, it's obviously not a picture. It's just... I think it's coming from a painting, I guess. I'm not sure. Or I don't know if it's a painting or a recomposition of his face made historically. But anyways, this is like This is yeah, I went and I've checked. To be honest with you, it's kind of my style. He's kind of my style. That's too sad because, you know, I told you we don't know if he's like, if he was strictly gay or bi. In my brain, I'd like to think that he's bi, but anyways, it also like I was thinking of it, and I think I really have a thing for like men who are into art overall. I think I'm into them more than I want to admit to myself. But again, it's something I was journaling and thinking of recently. Anyways, so this was it for today's video. Again, you tell me what you did think of it, and yeah, see you the next time. Thank you everyone for watching until the very end, and bisous.